Krishna Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sadhana Lalita Sri Vyasacharya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaurabhakta Vrinda Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaurabhakta Vrinda Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaurabhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Rama, Jaya Yamuna Tiravanagi. Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare
Hare Krishna. Shloka number 1831, Canto 1, Chapter 8, Shloka number 31. Gopya dade tvai कृतागसिदामतावा गोप्या ददे त्वयि कृतागसिदामतावा याते दशाश्रु कलिलाञ्जन सम्भ्रमाक्षं याते वक्त्रं निनीय भयभावनायतितस्य वक्त्रं निनीय भयभावनयातितस्य सा मां विमोहयति धीरपि यत् बिभेति सा मां विमोहयति धीरपि यत् बिभेति गोप्या ददे त्वयि कृतागसिदाम तावत् गोप्या ददे त्वयि कृतागसिदाम याते दशाश्रु कलिलाञ्जन सम्भ्रमाक्षं याते दशाश्रु वक्त्रं निनीय भयभावनया स्थितस्य सा मां विमोहयति भीरपि यत् बिभेति गोप्या ददे त्वयि कृतागसिदाम तावत् याते दशाश्रु कलिलाञ्जन सम्भ्रमाक्षम् वक्त्रं निनीय भयभावनया स्थितस्य सा मां विमोहयति भीरपि यत् बिभेति गोप्या ददे त्वयि कृतागसिदाम तावत् याते दशाश्रु कलिलाञ्जन सम्भ्रमाक्षम् वक्त्रं निनीय भयभावनया स्थितस्य सा मा विमोहयति भीरपि यद्बिभेति गोप्या ददे त्वयि कृतागसिदाम तावत् याते दशाश्रु कलिलाञ्जन सम्भ्रमाक्षम् वक्त्रं निनीय भयभावनया स्थितस्य सा मा विमोहयति भीरपि यत् बिभेति। माताजी। गोप्या ददे त्वयि कृतागसिदाम तावत् याते दशाश्रु कलिलाञ्जन सम्भ्रमाक्षम् वक्त्रं निनीय भयभावनया स्थितस्य सा मा विमोहयति भीरपि यद् बिभेति। Gopi, the cowherd lady Yashoda, Adade took up Tvai on your Kritagasi, creating disturbances by breaking the butter pot. Dama, rope, Tavat, at that time, Ya, that which, Te, your, Dasha, situation, Ashru Kalila, over flooded with tears, Anjana, ointment, Sambhrama, perturbed, Aksham, eyes, Vaktram, face, Niniya, downwards, Bhaya Bhavanaya, by thoughts of fear, Sthitasya, of the situation, Sa, that, Mam, may, Vimohayati, bewilders, Bhi api, even fear personified, Yat, whom, Bibheti, is afraid. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. My dear Krishna, Yashoda took up a rope to bind you when you committed an offense, and your perturbed eyes overflooded with tears, which washed the mascara from your eyes. And you were afraid, though fear personified is afraid of you. This sight is bewildering to me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. गोप्या ददे त्वयि कृतागसिदाम तावत् याते दशाश्रु कलिलाञ्जन सम्भ्रमाक्षम् वक्त्रं निनीय भयभावनया स्थितस्य सा मां विमोहयति भीरपि यद्बिभेति. My dear Krishna, Yashoda took up a rope to bind you when you committed an offense, and your perturbed eyes overflooded with tears, which washed the mascara from your eyes. And you were afraid, though fear personified is afraid of you. This sight is bewildering to me. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः. श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्. वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं सागरजातां सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजना सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सगणा ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितां च. नम ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने. नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे. नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामने गौरद्विषे नमः. हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते. तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद. हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna. So I'm very grateful for getting this opportunity to speak something in the glorification of Queen Kunti, in the glorification of Lord Shri Krishna, in the assembly of the wonderful Vaishnavas. And I seek blessings from all the Vaishnavas assembled here, so that whatever I speak is certainly beyond my own experiences and realizations, but whatever even theoretically I try to speak should be in line with parampara and should help all of us surrender ourselves more unto the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada and help all of us in our Krishna consciousness. So we are reading this morning from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 8th chapter, 31st verse, which is one of the verses in the prayers of Queen Kunti, one of the most celebrated prayers in Bhagavatam. So this 18 to 43 is a set of 26 shlokas, which is the most celebrated prayers of Queen Kunti, which is very, very relished by many devotees, including Srila Prabhupada. So we'll discuss several interesting things about this. But I have tried to take some 3-4 themes out of this shloka, which Prabhupada emphasizes in the purport, and 1 or 2 themes I have added from my side. So the first theme which I would talk about is the theme of women. Since this is the Kunti Maharani section, and this is one of the most important lessons for us to understand. Like in some purport, Prabhupada says that women are less intelligent. In some purport, Prabhupada has said like, and I have seen some husbands, they have ruined their marriages, thinking this. Anytime a husband thinks that, oh, my wife is less intelligent, the next minute or next hour or next day, he will get some reaction, right? All those who are married can testify this probably. Right. So actually, we have to understand whenever Prabhupada has said whatever, we have to understand that in proper context. So when Prabhupada said women are less intelligent, he did not refer to them being less intelligent spiritually, because as far as spirit soul is concerned, it is beyond gender. And secondly, the main spirit behind saying that is that women have simple faith, which can be exploited by others. Right? In fact, this simple faith becomes their qualification to become even the topmost devotees. Right? Like we see in Krishna Leela, how the Nagapatnis, The wives of Kalia are glorified. Kalia is foolish, but who is intelligent? The wives of Kalia. We see the Dvij Patanis, those Brahmanas who were doing yagya. Krishna was hungry. The Brahmanas said, no, we are busy doing yagya. And then Krishna said, go to their wives. Who was more intelligent? The wives. So it's very clear. The mandate is loud and clear who is more intelligent, right? At the same time, what Prabhupada really meant was that women have simple faith, which can at times be exploited by others. And therefore, they should always be protected. They should always be under some shelter. In fact, according to Dharma Shastras, a wife is supposed to be the good intelligence of a husband. I mean, sometimes, I have seen like when we train young boys, we in sometimes some classes, we say that the husband is like a spiritual master of the wife. I mean, traditionally, if you see, for a wife, marriage is like initiation, right? And husband is like a spiritual master. And our young boys, they feel very nice about themselves. Oh, I'm going to get married. That means I'm going to become a guru. So, but everything can be understood as well as misunderstood, right? First, we have to learn to walk, learn to speak, then only we can think of becoming guru. But the fact is actually wife is considered to be the good intelligence of the husband. And we have so many examples of this in Ramayana and Mahabharata, right? Like Mandodari, she was the good intelligence of Ravana. It's another matter that he didn't listen, right? Tara, and like that, so many examples are there, of chaste, wonderful wives who have always made sure that the husband is on track, right? Husband may be very proud of his sadhana. Husband may be very proud of, so many other things. Jai Shri Jagannath Baldev Sudhara Maiya ki jai. But then husband typically may have a tendency to go here and there, right? And, himself become loose in the standards which he has set. And then that's where, the wife serves as a good intelligence to remind, hey, wait a second, you only set your standard like this. What happened now? So like that. That's a very good alarm clock. The alarm is set by the husband only, right? But then the alarm rings at the right time, right? So that's a very good thing. So Grihastha is like a nice boat, a nice fort, the Prabhupada says. Anyway, coming back to Kunti Maharani. So we should not have such misunderstandings, by reading one sentence of Prabhupada or by reading one sentence in one purport of Srimad Bhagavatam and then ruin, a typical Varnashram setup. And that's what Kunti Maharani actually by her own example is teaching all of us loud and clear. Kunti Maharani is a pure devotee teaching all of us the highest understanding of Krishna consciousness through her prayers. Her prayers are, sung and glorified by the best of the sages, the most glorified of all pure devotees, including Srila Prabhupada, right? And she is a woman, right? So it's very clear that what is it that Prabhupada is trying to say when he is saying that women are less intelligent. And in fact, this is true for the Vedic culture in general. In Vedic culture, women are supposed to be respected and worshipped. They are given a very, very prestigious position in society. On the contrary, today, it's like they're trying to fight for the rights and things like that, but actually they are only being made fool of by the men population. Even in the name of equality and independence. They are being made to compete. They're saying, oh, today women can be truck drivers. Who said being truck driver is a goal of life? So men have fooled women to compete with them, in those things which men are better at, and making women feel that, oh, their worth is only when they do these things. Why? Who said it has to be that way, right? Is it that a woman will be considered something worth only when she'll be able to drive a truck? That's the third class thing. That's the worst thing which men are better at doing. That's the worst thing, going out and earning money. But there are more refined things like running a family, making a house into a home, training children. Napoleon Bonaparte said, give me good mothers and I will give you good nation. Men cannot become good mothers. If man has to go to office and a child is crying, 1 or 2 minutes, men will try to pacify, after that he'll slap. But the mother, the pressure cooker may be saying see here, and the husband may be shouting here, children may be crying here, school bus may be honking, yet she can keep her cool and do everything. So I always believe that females are refined species. Men are gross, and they can do the worst thing like going out and earning money. That's the worst thing to be done, right? But there are more refined things, dealing with people, emotional side of things, nurturing a child into a wonderful personality, right? So females should think that, oh, I'm supposed to be doing these glorious things and Krishna has made us better in these things. But the men population have very nicely tricked them into believing that, oh, you will be considered important only when you do this. And then women are now trying to, do this to be able to establish their worth. So it's a very unfortunate situation, and both parties are to be blamed, and it's a cycle. But anyway, we'll come back to what we see. So Prabhupada says a state of a society is seen by how children and women and elderly are protected and respected. In some purpose, Prabhupada has said like this: children, women, and elderly, how they are treated, how they are respected, is what tells how civilized a society is. So, such is the importance of females in our Vedic culture. And we see Kunti Maharani as one of the wonderful examples of how a female was. And when we look into these prayers, what kind of philosophical insights these prayers have, what kind of devotion these prayers have, then we understand that, oh, that means the females also used to receive wonderful training. Now, the shape and the form of training may have been different, but the fact that she is knowing these different pastimes, the fact that she is knowing this topmost philosophy means that she also got some training, right? So females used to also get some proper training according to different time, place, and circumstances. So that was one first theme I wanted to take, about the women and the state of women and the unfortunate situation in today's society, or how it used to be in Vedic culture. The second theme is about the prayers itself. Before we get into today's shloka, it is said that a very good prayer, which the acharyas or pure devotees, when they offer to Krishna, it has three components typically. Good prayers have three components. Of course, for them it is natural, but for us it's like 1, 2, 3. So we can at least try to mimic. We can try to imitate. Like, we are all sadhakas, right? We are not devotees. Some of you are, but most of us are trying to become devotees, right? And when we are trying to become devotees, we try to, in one sense, imitate some role models, right? And if we do it in a healthy spirit, if we do it by genuinely trying to cultivate those qualities, it's not bad, right? To have role models and things like that. So we see these acharyas and pure devotees, when they offer prayers, typically their prayers have three components. One component is that they are glorifying the Lord. You see demigods, you see, Dhruva, you see Prahlad, you see Amrish Maharaj, you see Gajendra prayers, you see Kunti Maharani's prayers, Bhishma's prayers, whoever prayers we see, they will certainly begin with glorifying the Lord. That is one component their prayers have. The second component is highlighting their own insignificant position, our own insignificant position. And third is, okay, what do we want, right? What is our yachana? What is our desire from the Lord? And they set the high standard that our desire is not for some dhanam janam sundarim. The desire is to render service. Please give us more service. Like Prabhupada said, chanting Hare Krishna is also a prayer. Right? 3 P's are important in chanting. What are those 3 P's? Anybody remembers? Prayer, posture, and pronunciation. Right? These 3 P's are very important in chanting. Our posture should be right. Our pronunciation should be right. And we should remember at the end of the day, the bottom line is essentially it is a prayer. Chanting Hare Krishna is a prayer. And it means we are asking for service. So we'll see that these pure devotees, exalted souls, when they offer prayers, they have these 3 components. And similarly, in Kunti Maharani's prayers from 18 to 43, these 26 shlokas, we see similar components. We see she will glorify the Lord. We see that she is saying that how she is insignificant, unfortunate. And she's also saying that what is it that she wants, right? And I was once hearing a class by Amarendra Prabhu, and he was emphasizing a very important point. He was telling that out of the 9 processes of bhakti, Shravana, Kirtana, Smarana, Vandana, Pada Sevana, Dasare, Pujana, Sakhi Jana, Atma Nivedana, Govinda Dasa Vilash. So out of these 9 processes of bhakti, Amarendra was telling in that class that how Shravanam, it's little difficult for us because, first of all, we can't sit like this, for 2 hours, 3 hours, and then, we tend to fall asleep. Or if some crisis is going on in our life, we are not like Parikshit Maharaj. There is a crisis just waiting, right? Death is just waiting, and he's able to completely absorb himself in hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Contrast with ourselves. If there is some major problem, God forbid, I hope it should not happen in our lives, but if there is some, not even major, some crisis in our life, we all will agree that our mind gets completely preoccupied with that. And we are not able to absorb and relish Srimad Bhagavatam. To such an extent, Parikshit Maharaj is saying that even when Shukdev Goswami is trying to very fast skip through, sometimes fast forward, right? You say, hey, wait. Can you zoom in? He has all the time in the world, all the patience, because his consciousness is he wants to relish Krishna Katha. So, Shravanam, is still little lofty. Then Kirtanam, we know what happens when we start chanting. Just before taking the mala in hands, everything is fine. We are enthusiastic, energetic, dancing. As soon as we take mala, we, go down. I don't know what happens. Such a wonderful, this thing is. So like that, if we see everything, and of course, Archanam, such higher standards of purity, cleanliness, and whatnot. But then Amarendra was telling that this Vandanam, which is offering prayers, is easy. I mean, that's something natural. Even a child, when he falls down, while walking or gets hurt, what's the most natural thing which comes out of the child? Mummy, Papa, please help, right? Uh, Praying, just helpless cry of a child. And we are so diseased, we have come so far from Krishna that even that simple thing of crying out to Krishna becomes so difficult for us. Ultimately, what is the perfection of life? To cry out for Krishna. That's what Vrajvasis, they keep doing. Anytime there is a demon, what will they do? Krishna, Krishna, they'll cry, right? That's the perfection of life. And that is something so simple to a child also. So natural and simple to a child. And this only goes to show how diseased we are, how much layers of lust, greed, envy, anger, pride, illusion is there on our consciousness. How many layers, thick layers, that something so simple and so natural appears so difficult to us. Crying out. But actually, that's the simplest thing which can be done. And all we have to do is we have to repeat the prayers of the acharyas, right? So therefore, often many senior devotees, they keep emphasizing that we should try to memorize these prayers, whatever we can, if not full prayers, some shlokas, and we should always try to offer them, even while taking bath, when taking darshan, that's one of the very easy ways to permeate our consciousness with Krishna. There's some nice ways like that. And we see so many prayers in Srimad Bhagavatam, right? And prayers, I was once reading that prayers are not like the stepney of the car. In the car, we have that spare wheel. So prayers are not like a spare wheel to be used in emergency. Instead, prayers are like the steering wheel of the car, which actually decides where the car is heading, right? So prayers is actually a very, very important element of our Krishna consciousness. And naturally, by, for setting this example, and also we can see the heart of a pure devotee, Srila Prabhupada considered these prayers of Queen Kunti very, very close to him. Right? So I was just reading, I think Brahmanand Prabhu writes this in one article. He says that Prabhupada considered these verses, 18 to 43, 26 verses, very, very important. He is telling in one article that in the winter of 65-66, even before ISKCON was incorporated, right? Prabhupada, had moved from Butler to New York, and he was staying in one place wherein there was no bath and no toilet and all that, no kitchen, and he had to walk one or two streets next in that Dr. Mishra's yoga studio, in that very cold winter, right? And that time in that room where Prabhupada was staying, he had nobody to preach to. He had only four walls, and that time Prabhupada, he used 1 month's rent to purchase a tape recorder. And one of the first things which he recorded was these prayers. He's singing these prayers of Queen Kunti with Kartal, and he recorded. This is the only recorded prayers in Srimad Bhagavatam by Srila Prabhupada. The prayers of Queen Kunti. This goes to show what was Prabhupada thinking at that point in time, and how prayers of Queen Kunti give so much shelter to Srila Prabhupada. This was one occasion wherein, we see that how this is the only prayer recorded himself by Prabhupada, when even before ISKCON. The second thing which goes to show that how Prabhupada considered these prayers so important, especially Kunti Maharani's prayers, is when on 31st May 1967, when he got a stroke, when he got that first heart attack, and all devotees were wondering what to do. Nobody knew. They were wondering if they do something else should not go wrong. Just knew 66 ISKCON was incorporated, in 67 Prabhupada got this heart attack. And Prabhupada requested devotees specifically to do three things. Prabhupada requested. One, he wanted the newly completed painting of Lord Nrsimhadev placed before his view. That was first. Somebody may be doing some Nrsimhadev painting, and he requested that newly completed painting to be in front of him. Number one. Number two, he requested devotees to chant Hare Krishna and Nrsimhadev mantras, continuously. That is the second thing Prabhupada asked them to do. And third thing Prabhupada asked them to do was for me to read him Prabhupada asked Brahmanand Prabhu to read him the prayers of Queen Kunti. So again, we see that how much emphasis Prabhupada gave to these prayers. And he got another heart attack in August 1974, and he asked same thing. He asked that, please read prayers of Queen Kunti to me. So with this, we can understand how Prabhupada used to take so much shelter in these prayers and how Prabhupada would resonate with Kunti Maharani's thoughts about Krishna. And then in the same connection, after that heart attack of August 1974, allopathy was not working, Ayurveda was not working, nobody knows what worked. So Prabhupada wrote a letter commenting on that event. And that letter he wrote from Mayapur in October 7, 1974. I'm just quoting Prabhupada. I thank you for your concern for my well-being. Actually, I was very ill. I was falling down. But by your prayers, Krishna has kindly made me recover. Because you have prayed to Krishna, therefore I have recovered. Just like Srimati Kunti Devi, when there was difficulty, she prayed to Krishna. That is Krishna consciousness. Not that when there is difficulty, I shall forget Krishna. Whatever the material condition may be, we should just cling to Krishna's lotus feet. So Prabhupada, in his own example, in his own life, he has graphically demonstrated the importance of such prayers and taking them close to our heart. Once, Radheshyam Prabhu was summarizing the process of Krishna consciousness nicely in 4 sentences. So he was telling that we should look back and thank Krishna. We should look ahead and trust Krishna. We should look within and find Krishna. We should look around and serve Krishna. Can somebody repeat quickly? First was look back and no, that in retrospect, I'm thinking, why did Krishna do this to me? Oh, why that happened? No, whatever, good or bad, whatever has happened in the past, what are we supposed to do? That is what Kunti Maharani is doing. In these prayers, Kunti Maharani is remembering, my sons were given poison, this, that. But is she complaining to Krishna about it? She's grateful. In fact, she's grateful to such an extent that she's saying that please, give us more calamities. Because that way we were so closely connected to you, through remembrance. Please give us more calamities. So she is a very good example of look back and thank Krishna, right? And that's what we can take lesson from in our life, whatever may have happened. And of course, it's not that we are careless. We don't do our part, and then everything is spoiled, and we are looking back and thanking Krishna. So let's say I'm not aware of where my children are, and now they have got kidnapped. 2 days I was not aware only where my child is. He went out of home for playing. Now I have lost track of it, and now he's kidnapped, and I'm saying I'm looking back and thanking Krishna. Thank you, Krishna, for kidnapping my son. That's not what is the meaning of this. The formula, another formula is do your best and leave the rest. So these formulae which are there in Srimad Bhagavatam or wherever, whatever we come to know from senior devotees, we should take them in proper perspective. So if we have done our best and left the rest, then now whatever has happened, just thank Krishna. So you did your best to find the best contractor, best interior designer, based on whatever research, and then you engage them to construct your house or renovate your house, and still something went wrong. What to do? Thank Krishna for our purification. Maybe I was supposed to meet an accident and die. It is much better than that. Okay, some lakhs got, wasted, right? You never know. So that should be the purpose of reading and hearing, to be able to apply Krishna's message in our lives, in our day-to-day situation. Not that it's a theoretical endeavor that, we are reading and hearing daily, and yet when our daily situations are going on, we are not able to apply them in our life. We are not able to see them through Shastra Chakshu. That means something is wrong. That means either we are not hearing sincerely, or we are offending devotees, because of which we are not getting the blessings by which we get the realization. So when we read and hear, what happens? We get a theoretical understanding of things, right? We become aware of things, theoretical understanding. But is realization here or here? Realization is a matter of the heart. And there is a gap between understanding and realization. This gap. How does this gap get filled? Can it get filled by our intelligence? No, intelligence will only work here in the brain. How does the theoretical understanding gets transformed into realization? Only by satisfaction of great souls, blessings. Only, there is no other way. No other way. No other way. Bhakti is not a marg of, bhakti is not the process of our own endeavor. Endeavor we do only to attract mercy. But it is a path of grace. And we should never ever forget that. And that would make sure that we are always grounded. Not that, oh, I am devotee since 40, 50 years. So now by my own power, things are moving on, or I'm able to practice Krishna consciousness. In fact, as soon as somebody thinks like that, probably the fall down may begin. And therefore, we may see sometimes people after practicing for so many years also, the next moment they are like ordinary materialist because things get completely covered. Because at the end of the day, it was not by our prowess, it was by Guru and Krishna's mercy. So if whatever we are reading and hearing, if we are conscious of that during our day-to-day experiences, that goes to show that great souls or seniors are pleased by us. If we are able to have that understanding, and again, we should not become proud of that understanding. Mind is so, I don't know what, that even for good things which you do, which are wonderful, which should happen to you, there may be another thought coming from behind. See now, so I'm making advancement. So therefore, it's such a careful path. It's all about attention. It's all about being careful. And as we water the weeds, we know Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Shravanam and Kirtanam is like watering and the Bhakti Lata beach. So the creeper will grow, but what else also will grow? The weeds will grow. And what is our responsibility? Let the weeds keep growing carefully. Figure out what is weed and what is Bhakti Lata beach. Some people, they uproot Bhakti Lata beach only by mistake. Huh? Some people, they are careful to know, okay, what is weed and okay, what to carefully pick out. Bhakti Lata Bhi should not get picked out. So for that, association, regular reading, hearing is important. It's a wonderful science. I mean, the more we read about it, the more we hear about it in association of devotees, the more we are able to enjoy. Yeah, Zabardast. I mean, what kind of process Krishna has given, right? And we see proofs in the lives of exalted souls and senior devotees even right now. We see proof. It's not something theoretical. Whoever follows this science and art, Krishna consciousness is both science as well as art. That's a separate topic we'll discuss sometime. But we have seen whoever follows this becomes advanced and shows the symptoms which are mentioned in the Shastras. Right? So it's not something theoretical, that we don't know anyway, others are doing, so let me also do. No. Right? So it's so nice to see results in front of us. It's so nice. Anyway, so look back and thank Krishna. What was the second one? Look ahead and trust Krishna. And Prahlad Maharaj is a very graphic example of that. He always had full faith in Krishna. Whatever is going to happen will be good for him. Always had full faith. Look ahead and trust Krishna always. Look back and thank Krishna. And look within and find Krishna. Dhruva Maharaj, he looked within and found Krishna. Look within and find Krishna. And look around. Prabhupada, graphic example of look around and serve Krishna. Once one Mayavadi, some Mayavadi people came into Prabhupada's gathering distributing some pamphlets of some Mayavadi program. And devotees were thinking, okay, what will Prabhupada do now? This Prabhupada is like, he cannot stand Mayavad. Even in some purports, there is no connection with Mayavadi. But Prabhupada will bring Mayavadi, beat him left and right and leave him. Right? Like that. Sometimes we see that. So, so then everybody was looking at Prabhupada, what will he do? Prabhupada nicely respected that person because we have to respect everyone. It's not that whoever hate the sin, not the sinner. Right? Everybody has to be respected. Respect all, hear some, follow one. That is a simple formula. What is the formula? Respect all, hear some, follow. If you follow all, it will be difficult. How do we, right? Anyway, so coming back. So everybody was wondering what will Prabhupada do. Prabhupada respected, said thank you and all that and then Prabhupada said, okay, these pamphlets, let's have prasadam on them now. Utility is the principle. Why to waste paper? Paper is there, we can eat prasadam on that or whatever, or mudi, kurmura, whatever it may be, right? So Prabhupada is an acharya who stands for utility is the principle, right? He would use everything in service of Krishna, technology, house, crematorium, he has built temple over Kabristan, whatever it may be, right? Anyway, so coming back, so we see Kunti Maharani is a very graphic example of look back and thank Krishna. She is including them in her prayers. Now let's come to this shloka 30 and 31. So in the entire prayers from 18 to 43, 30 and 31, Kunti Maharani is remembering the inconceivable nature of Lord's appearance and activities. Janma karma, the inconceivable nature, achintya nature of Lord's appearance and activities. So in just the previous verse 30, we saw how she is saying that, oh, you are Aja, unborn, yet you take birth in the material world. Oh, you are Akartur, means you have no activity to do, yet you do so many activities when you come to this world. So it is atyanta vidambanam, she says. It's a, highest order of surprise or bewilderment. And we know how Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Janma karma chame divyam, evam yo veti tattvataha, tyaktva deham punarjanma, neti mameti suarjuna. One who understands the transcendental nature of appearance and activities of Krishna, he understanding that does not take birth again in this material world. So because Krishna's, so even if he comes as a boar, I mean, even if he comes amidst hogs, if he comes amidst fish, if he comes amidst human beings, he is not a human being. He is not a fish. He is not a hog. He remains transcendental supreme personality of Godhead because his appearance and activities are divine. And one who understands that is intelligent. There are two kinds of fools in this world. One kind of fools are they who think God is like an ordinary human being. And the other kind of fools are they who think human beings are God. These are the two kinds of fools in this world, but both are wrong. Right? Human beings are human beings. God is God, and He is transcendental at all times, place, and circumstances. Right? And whatever activities He is doing, they are His pastimes, Leela. And what we do is time pass. So it's ulta. Okay, so now in this particular verse, 31, in this particular verse, we see how Kunti Maharani is remembering which Leela? Damodar Leela. That means she is aware of it. Right? So there was training, nice training. She's aware of one highest philosophical truths. She's aware of these pastimes. Right? How did she know that? There was some training and education going on. Right? For everyone. Shape or form may be different. So the message of Srimad Bhagavatam is universal. Our philosophy is non-sectarian, universal. It is equally true for children, elderly, dying man who's about to marry, and everybody. So Srimad Bhagavatam is for everybody. Srimad Bhagavatam class is supposed to speak about the Srimad Bhagavatam philosophy, and that is universally applicable to everyone. But the application of that philosophy is different for children. It's different for females. It's different for males. It's different for a dying man. It's different for somebody who is just about to marry. For example, one who is just about to marry cannot think women are Maya, or that, all this is illusion and I'm entering into this married life, grahast ashram. This is my biggest mistake which I am doing, but what to do? That is wrong. He's applying philosophy in a wrong way. Right? Or somebody is about to start a business. He's in 20s and 30s. 20s and 30s, we are supposed to work hard, right, and earn money. So he is about to start some business. I'm talking about grahastas. So he's about to start some business and he's thinking, anyway, everything is going to finish. So what to do? Okay. Or children are born. He's thinking he is also going to die. I'm also going to die. Let us go do whatever we want. So right philosophy being applied to the wrong place. On the other end, when we are chanting, we are making plans. Okay, in office tomorrow, I'll go and do this, or, after. So that is our situation. That when we are doing material activity, we are thinking, oh, what about my Krishna consciousness? And when we are doing Krishna conscious activity, we are thinking, hey, wait a second, what about my this duty, that duty, and all that, right? So we should learn to, as we grow in our spiritual life, we should learn to separate these two things. Of course, we should do material duties in Krishna consciousness, but we should learn to do everything in the right consciousness, right? Because Krishna does not teach us to become irresponsible. Detachment is something else, and irresponsible is something else. The challenge of grahastas is that we have to be responsible and yet detached. And not about grahastas only. Brahmacharis have same problem. Only thing is the things with which you are responsible with, the things with which you may get attached or detached is different. The playground is different. The things which you play with is different. The concept is same. Right? And I don't know why I went there. So in this verse, so Kunti Maharani is remembering Damodar Leela, right? And Damodar Leela is such a wonderful Leela who, the great sages and so great souls and pure devotees, they remember and relish so much. So one thing which she is telling in this shloka is that fear personified is fearful of Yashoda. Who is fear personified? Fear personified. And that person who is fearful of fear personified is Krishna, that baby Krishna, who is, in this Damodar Leela. So this sounds like a contradiction, is it not? Right? The person who is feared by fear personified, that person is afraid of Yashoda and running, to save his life. right? On the other hand, we know how Lord is Abhay, and Lord makes others Abhay. We know how Gaur Mohande named Prabhupada as Abhay Charan, right? Why? Because at his lotus feet, people become Abhay. Right? Why? Because, and why this world is Kuntha? This world is Kuntha or full of anxiety because we are trying to take shelter of temporary things. Let's say I'm about to die, or let's say somebody throws me from a top of a 13th floor of a building, right? What will everybody want to do? They will try, everybody will try to save their life. So, if the roof is coming, some window, something, I mean, let's say, imagine our journey down now. Somebody has thrown us from 13th floor, and let's visualize our journey down. Will we be going down like this nicely? No, we'll throw our hands and legs, and whatever comes in our hand, we'll try to hold it, right? But everything which which may come in our hand may itself be unstable, and therefore that will also fall with me. It may probably make my fall harder, right? I'll try to grab everything, and to the extent that is itself not stable, to that extent it will only accelerate my fall, right? Similarly, in this material world, we are trying to take shelter. Edhana yavana putra parijana ithe kiya che parati tire. We are trying to take shelter of dhana yavana putra parijana, but are they permanent? Are they eternal? Are they stable? They are not. So naturally, we'll be in anxiety. But the moment we take shelter of something permanent, which is the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, that is permanent, that is truth. Others are illusory, temporary, unstable. This is permanent, truth, stable, eternal. Automatically, we become tension free. Abhay. That is the science of how we become Abhay. Right? So, Lord is one who is Abhay and who gives Abhay. But here is the Lord who is himself becoming fearful. In fact, there is one Kardama Muni and Devahuti section wherein Kardam Muni, after being pleased by Devahuti, he is telling in one of the verses, he is saying that you have neglected your body in your service to me. Because we know how Devahuti, she could not go to beauty parlor, she could not do anything on her body, she could not, I mean, she just could not take care of herself at all. She completely gave herself to the service of Kardan Muni, right? And that Kardam Muni is aware of that sacrifice. It's not that, wo to uska duty ek karegi. Now, sometimes I've seen mother-in-laws saying, I'm sorry, my examples sometimes are a lot of heavily coming from Grahasthashram. But I've seen sometimes a mother-in-law saying, if she is doing that, what great she is doing. That's her duty. She has to do it. Is this sounding familiar to anybody? I don't know. But this can mean any relationship, right? That, if somebody is doing his or her duty, the superior takes it for granted. Duty कर रही है तो कौन सा बड़ा एहसान कर रही है, something like that. But once, in one of the classes, I heard a very wonderful formula for relationships. When others do their duty, even when others do their duty, we should be grateful for it. Even when others do their duty, because in this world, nobody is even doing their duty properly. Even when others are doing their duty, we should be grateful for it. And even when we are doing a favor on somebody, we should think it to be our duty. Who can repeat? The way I said. Yes, Prabhu. The way I said. Even when others do their duty. There's a purpose. Yeah. We should see it as a favor. Yes. And yeah, and even if we do favor to others, we should think it to be our duty. If all of us be, I know these are like, easier said than done, but at least if not 24 hours, if not every day in the month, at least 1 or 2 days, when we are aware, we'll try to practice. That's how transformation happens gradually. But these are very wonderful sutras. So anyway, so Kardama Muni, he took this service from Devahuti. It's not that he is insensitive. He is conscious that she has gone through so much pain. She has gone through so much sacrifice, and he's feeling the need to reciprocate. And therefore he says, you have neglected your body in your service to me. Thus, whatever I have achieved, I share with you. And that verse says 2 things which he has achieved, Kardam Muni, Ashok and Abhay. So what has Kardam Muni, by doing all these austerities and by doing this wonderful devotion, what is it that he achieved? Wealth? No, that's secondary. Opulence, that's secondary. Ashok and Abhay. No lamentation and no fear. And he says, whatever I have achieved, Ashok and Abhay, now I grant to you. He's saying. So you see, Krishna is somebody through whom people become Abhay. And here he is becoming afraid. So this is Achintya, inconceivable. Right? And therefore it is beautiful. See, if somebody who is powerless, helpless, if that person is afraid, there is nothing great here. It's natural for him to be afraid. What is the Supreme Lord, who is the CEO of the entire creation? Controller, enjoyer, and owner. Right? He's the CEO of the entire creation. If he is becoming afraid, this is something to be very much, wondered about. Right? And that's what Kunti is remembering and wondering. And all contradictions are resolved in the Lord. Like we see Lord Narsingadev. Tava Kara Kamala. Lotus hands, we are saying. Lotus hands means what? Very soft. Right? Yet for Hiranyakashipu, it is like thunderbolt, ripping apart his chest. Contradiction. Lord dancing on Kalia. For Vijvasis, it's appearing like, oh, a nice soft thing, a nice, wonderful dance. But for Kalia, every step is appearing like big thunderbolt on his head, to Kalia. So Lord is one in whom all contradictions get resolved. And this is Achintya. We cannot think from our own tiny brain. So Kunti is remembering this Damodar Leela, which is the festival of love. I think we discussed sometime in the past that typically all other festivals are celebrated for 1 or 2 days maximum. But Damodar Leela, 1 month, because this is a festival of love. This is the festival celebrating or marking the victory of a devotee over the Lord. How the Lord gets conquered by his love. Now, what is great about it? Even so many kings in the past got conquered by other kings. What is great about it? Or if the Lord, who is Ajita, is getting conquered. So that's the greatness of this year. In fact, that's the sweetness, right? It's so sweet that it is great, right? It's beyond Lord's greatness, like that. Right? So, and this Leela is actually advertising. So I think Gaurang Prabhu or somebody was telling that this is the ultimate advertisement of bhakti. What is Damodar Leela? Ultimate advertisement of bhakti. What is the ultimate advertisement of mercy? Anybody remembers in Srimad Bhagavatam? Ultimate. We should know these nice things, so that it improves our comprehension. It improves our remembrance. What is the ultimate advertisement of mercy in Srimad Bhagavatam? Huh? Ajamilya, but we take it for holy name typically. Mercy. Ultimate advertisement of mercy. Aho bakiyam stanakalakuta. Right? So somebody was telling that imagine if somebody goes and attacks the parliament, tries to bomb blast near the parliament. Right? Now you take him and make the president of India. Putana came to kill Krishna, and Krishna made him his mother, position of his mother in the spiritual world. So in that Bhagavatam, that pastime is the ultimate advertisement of mercy. Damodar Leela is ultimate advertisement of power of bhakti. Right? So like that, there are many others. And Prabhupada in the purport, he writes, how amazing Prabhupada's words are. He says, he is showing a unique picture of subordination before his foster mother Yashoda. A unique picture of subordination. Krishna is subordinate to nobody. Asamordhava. One of the names of Bhagwan or synonyms of Bhagwan is Asamordhava. Sama means equal. Urdhava means greater. There is nobody, forget greater, there is nobody equal to God. And such God is showing a unique picture of subordination to Yashoda. And that is why Krishna does not award pure devotional service easily. We just heard that pure devotional service cannot be achieved. It is awarded. Pure devotional service cannot be achieved. It is awarded. But will Krishna award it easily? Why not? Because he will become conquered by that person whom he awards. Now that's not a small thing. That's a very big promise Krishna is making. He is giving himself completely. So therefore, he will make sure that through all his agents, including all of us sitting here, he will test ourselves thoroughly. He'll test us thoroughly and award pure devotional service only when we are like thoroughly purified and we know we need nothing other than Krishna. And for us, Krishna Prem and what matters to Guru and Krishna is the supreme for us. Like we see in the case of Brajvasis, they were all set to do Indra Puja, which they have been doing for every year. But Krishna is telling, no, stop it. And they stopped it. Why? Because for them, Krishna is more, their relationship with Krishna is more important than anything else. In this life, if we can come to that level, which is possible in one life. I've seen some devotees saying that these things don't happen in one life, Prabhu. Hmm. These are matters of millions of lifetimes. Hmm. Don't you see when who Srivas Thakur? No, who was the one who Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was associating with Mayavadi sometimes, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu cursed that I will not see his face for 10 million births. Mukundatta. Huh? And Mukundatta was happy because, oh, at least after 10 million births, it is guaranteed that Lord will see me. Haribol. Now, sometimes they would say, see, Prabhu, you see this? So this is not matter of one life and all that. These are, pura ek millions of lives ka game hai ye, It's like that they see. And then they think that, no, nothing is possible in this life. Why you are so intense and all that? That is wrong. We, on the other hand, know Khatvanga example also. One moment is enough, right? So we have to associate with right devotees who can ignite our fire more, not that who can put little, not water. Devotees will not put water, but they may put buttermilk, they may put something else in fire, right? So Krishna doesn't have what, but it is possible. So if by the end of this life, if you can learn to, it's a practice. Law, do they say they are doing a job? Lawyers, they say they are practicing. Doctors, practicing, because those things are all about practice. Krishna consciousness, practice. It is a practice and it takes practice. Satswarup Maharaj writes about chanting in the Japa Reform Notebook. It is a practice and it takes practice. Right? So similarly, our Krishna consciousness, we should practice keeping Krishna, giving priority to Krishna. And that will happen only when we have to take decisions in life. So if every time we have to take decision, if we are deprioritizing Krishna, what are we practicing? Are we practicing Krishna consciousness? Okay, there are so many practical constraints, limitations. So out of 10 times, once we can prioritize Krishna, that is what Krishna sees. And then after next year, maybe we'll do twice, third year, thrice. Like that, we should become a progressive devotee. What kind of devotee? Prabhupada writes this in one of the purports. The kind of words he uses is amazing. He says we should become a progressive devotee, not a stagnant devotee. And actually, process of Krishna consciousness is like that. Rishyami cha muhur muhur. Every moment can be an adventure. Because Krishna is infinite. Hari Ananta, Hari Katha Ananta. Krishna is Navyavanam cha. Krishna consciousness has to always remain fresh. There is no retirement in devotional service. And it should only become better and better every day. Yeah, there are breaks. There are practical challenges of Grahastha life. There are so many other considerations. Sometimes things are completely beyond control. That is when we need association more. That is when we need to again come and revive. Because at the end of the day, we know that when we have to prioritize, we can prioritize. It may be difficult, but it is possible. So we should remind ourselves again and again. Because this life, when will it get over, we don't know. Kamala dala jala, jivana talamala. Ultimately, at the end of the day, that's a reality. Right? And if we are not able to do at least our part, results we don't know. That's Krishna. That is based on Guru and Krishna, whether they were happy, satisfied, pleased or not. But at least our part, if we fall short in doing our part, that is the most unfortunate thing at the time of our death. We'll think, oh, I came to Krishna consciousness. I came in touch with Srila Prabhupada. I came in touch with ISKCON. I came in touch with this wonderful Gaudiya Vaishnava literatures. Yet, I did not do what I should have done. That regret, if we have at the time of death, whole creation will make fun of us. We know how whole creation came at the time of Bhishma Mahajan's passing away, glorious departure. It should not become the other way around. Whole world, is making fun of us. One more life. Therefore, Prabhupada used to say, so many lives you have given to your mind and senses. Just give this one life to Krishna and see what happens. It's actually a very appealing thing. But unfortunately, and I'm basically speaking to myself, that unfortunately, again, that's Maya. We get so trapped in so many things, and the waves of the ocean will never stop. Once, when I was preaching in RV college many years back, Radhesham Prabhu is very particular about, making sure that the course is progressing. There is a training program. There are courses designed, right? And in first year, these courses should be covered. In second year, these courses should be covered. I'm talking about Bhakti courses. And I was the in charge of the voice. I was preaching. I was doing things there. And It so happened at one point in time that there were so many issues in the voice. I mean, when people stayed together, what will happen? Any guesses? Issues. Kali Yuga. What is the English translation of does Prabhupada say? Kali Yuga is age of quarrel and hypocrisy. That's a definition of Kali Yuga. So when people come together, what will happen? Quarrel. It will happen. Huh? And when people are alone, hypocrisy. So this age is an age of. So people staying together, quarrel, issues, whatever it may be, right? And lecture after lecture, I had to take to address those situations. Then once Radhesham Prabhu happened to visit, and he asked, okay, what's the course coverage? How's the syllabus going on? Have they done this? Have you introduced chanting? Chanting ho chuka tha, that was old. I'm talking about after shifting to voice. Some things were there, have you done this? Etiquette, Sadacharya has designed some courses. And I said, no, Prabhuji, actually, I had done these 3 topics. After that, Prabhuji, incidentally, it's so happening that every week when I'm going there, I have to take these need-based topics. What are these called as? Need-based topics. Relationships, false ego, Sadachar, whatever it may be. And Rajesh, I remember he twisted my ear and he said, these things are like waves of the material ocean. If you are not covering these topics, thinking that you are addressing other situation, it is like somebody is waiting at the shore of the ocean for waves to stop before he can take bath. So sometimes when such things are so nicely with examples taught to us, we should just, write them in our heart and we should always remember, only to recollect in later situations of life. And that recollection will happen by the mercy of the Lord, by the mercy of Guru. That recollection will not happen. Otherwise, our notebooks will be filled, right? But then when the right time, right thing has to be recollected, it will not come in our memory. That's what happened to Karna. That was the curse. On the other hand, Sandipani Muni gave blessings to Krishna that may whatever I have taught you remain ever fresh in your mind. That's a blessing. Anyway, so the ultimate purpose of Krishna consciousness is to revive our forgotten relationship with Krishna, correct? It's not to establish the relationship. It's to revive the relationship. Prabhupada is so precise in his literatures, in his textbooks. Because we already have a relationship, otherwise we would be dead. We already have a relationship, that's why we are breathing. But we have to revive that relationship. That's the ultimate purpose of Krishna consciousness. Sambandha abhidhe prayojan. Now to revive a relationship, imagine there is a person, right? Let's say Modi or, Jeff Bezos or Bill Gates or whoever. Let's say there is a person. And if I have to somehow strike a relationship or revive a relationship, it is ultimately a matter of person and individuality, correct? And we can do that only when we know about that person. How can you revive a relationship with somebody when you don't know about that person? Therefore, it is said that we can revive relationship in these 3 phases. It begins with knowledge about the person. And then the second thing is you act as per that knowledge. And then the third thing is feelings develop. Same is the case with our relationship with Krishna. First, we have to know about Krishna. And that's the purpose of reading, hearing, whatever we are doing. We are knowing more and more about Krishna. Second is we act on the basis of that knowledge. Oh, we offer bhoga, we worship, we bow down, manmana bhav mad bhakto, whatever it may be. We deal with devotees nicely because that is what pleases Krishna. We take to do our duties nicely because that is what pleases Krishna. So we act on the basis of that knowledge, and that is sadhana going on, sadhana. And over many years, what will happen gradually? The feelings will develop. The feelings for the Lord will develop, right? It will become more and more spontaneous. So know, act, and feel. That's how every relationship is, right? And it begins with knowledge. Now, knowledge about what? In case of Krishna, it is knowledge about his greatness and his sweetness. Both. We should not just only keep reading, hearing about the greatness of the Lord. That is wonderful. We should do that. But somehow that we may have a feeling that, yeah, he is great. Christianity also talks about God being great, right? But there's no sweetness there. Then we see God as, okay, somebody who is giving judgment. Somebody who is there to give you punishment. Somebody, oh yeah, you should bow down. But there is no motivation to strike that intimate personal relationship with the Lord, right? When you only keep hearing about the greatness, right? But when you hear about sweetness of the Lord, when we see that, oh, that is how Lord thinks about his devotees. That is what he is ready to do for his devotees. That is how much he cares for his devotees. That is when we get that personal motivation that, oh, such a Lord, I really, really want to revive my relationship with him. Right? Otherwise, only greatness means it could be selfish. Whoever is the richest person, we should make friends with that richest person, your life will be set. So that could be tinted with some selfish interest. He is great, so therefore I'm trying to strike my relationship with one who is great. This is also fine, no problem. But when he's sweet, then it is like selfless, unmotivated, uninterrupted, pure devotional service. Ahetuki apratihata. And that requires to us to know the sweetness of the Lord as well. Krishna, who is the hero of Bhagavad Gita, I mean, Arjuna is also the hero of Bhagavad Gita, but the primary hero is Krishna. What is the entry? Sometimes we have seen in movies, right? Like old movie, Amitabh Bachchan. I think I was sharing also sometimes. A small child will running. It will become Amitabh Bachchan. Something, I mean, I remember sometimes North India movies. So the entry of a hero in a film is like very dramatic. Or from behind they will show and hero will turn, or whatever. Something will, or Rajnikant will, something must be happening, right? But then the entry of a hero is very dramatic. Look at Bhagavad Gita. The entry of the hero is like how? Driver. Like that. Driver is, right? That is Bhakta Vatsal Krishna. So when we see how Krishna, how he deals with his devotees, what he is ready to do for his devotees, how much he can give himself to his devotees. Rajasuya, he is washing the pots or whatever, he is taking guest care department, right? And then when we see here, how he is running away from Mother Yashoda out of fear, and how he is willing to be conquered by Mother Yashoda, then that knowledge of sweetness of the Lord gives that motivation and impetus for us to do more for him as a person, not as God, but as Krishna. Like I have seen some devotees whom I take inspiration from, they'll not say, like in North India, we tend to speak Bhagwan ko bhog lagao, right? And I saw in them, they used to say Jagannath ko, ya Gaur Nitai ko, ya unka Gaur Nitai ka jo naam hoga, right? Whatever. Or, Radha Vrindavan Chandra ko. So when we take those names, it becomes more personal. Right? Otherwise, Bhagwan is like, okay, Bhagwan, like Aishwarya, right? That's also wonderful. But we want to go ahead, and in fine-tuning our bhakti that way. And Prabhupada writes, in this purport, Prabhupada writes, Lord is especially pleased by such service without any reverential admiration. Because he's a person after all. Will he be happy when you approach him because he is God, or will he be happy because you approach him out of love? Love. Because as God, to even atheist will approach him at the time of death. That person who ridiculed God whole life, that person who stood for denying the existence of God, you bring that person in front of the railway crossing, tie his hands and legs, and train will come, he'll say, oh God, if you exist, please save me. He'll say that. Right? So that way, as God officially, so many people are writing application and submitting. Right? But when somebody is there who is approaching him not as God, which we see in Vrindavan, which is a very high platform. Right? Samaran Prabhu in one lecture, he was telling that Vrajavasis also don't know Krishna, that he is God. Materialist people here in this world also don't know Krishna is God. In spiritual world, in Vrindavan, they don't know Krishna is God. Here also they don't know Krishna is God. What is the difference? There they don't know Krishna is God because of excess of love. Here we don't know Krishna is God because of lack of faith. He says, because of ignorance. Excess of love, lack of faith, or lack of knowledge. Right? So it's a contrast. So there is so much excess of love there that that's the sweetness which brings to the pastime. So Prabhupada says again in the same purport, the Lord accepts the chastisements of the parents more cheerfully than the prayers of the Vedic hymns. Right? So that opens the door for more intimate dealings, which is and more perfection of relationship. So in a spiritual life, we know there is perfect, there is more perfect, and there is most perfect. There are degrees of perfection also. Right? Similarly, we know how Madhurya is that way, objectively speaking, greater degree of intimacy or greater degree of personal relationship with Krishna than Aishwarya. And therefore, Prabhupada in the same purport writes that Kunti Maharani is conscious that Krishna is God. And therefore, she is saying that, oh, it is bewildering that how when fear personified is afraid of you, and you are afraid of Yashoda. Why it is bewildering to Kunti? Because Kunti Maharani is conscious of God, Krishna as Supreme Lord. And Prabhupada says that, but Yashoda is not. And therefore, Yashoda is superior. Yashoda's position is superior to Kunti. Prabhupada says in this purport. But we know why that happens. Here, people forget God because of Mahamaya. There, people forget God because of Yogamaya. Right? And again, Prabhupada writes another beautiful line in this purport. Lord wanted to make a complete gesture of childishness before the affectionate Yashoda. Let's read again. Lord wanted to make a complete gesture of childishness before the affectionate Yashoda, so that there is only love and nothing else in between. Lord doesn't want to contaminate the relationship, the loving dealings between him and Yashoda with the contamination of Aishwarya. So therefore, he makes them forget. So anyways, 944, just to conclude. So we can actually take many lessons from this one shloka and from overall Kunti Maharani and the prayers of Kunti Maharani and this particular shloka, that how when we know the greatness of the Lord. In fact, Damodar Leela, the Damodar Ashtakam begins Namamishwaram Sachidananda Rupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Bhrajamanam Yashoda Bhiyo Lukhala Dhavama. So Namamishwaram Sachidananda Rupam, greatness. Yashoda Bhiyo Lukhala Dhavamanam, sweetness. Right? So there also you see how the same verse is talking about the greatness of the Lord also, and also the sweetness of the Lord. And that is what makes this even more relishable, or even more bewildering, or even more inconceivable. So when we see that, when we hear more and more about the Lord's greatness, we should certainly want to strive a relationship with him, to revive our relationship with him. Because Bhoktaram Yagatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. So the Sarva Bhutanam Gyatva Mam Shanti Mrichati. Please formula. If we get connected to the greatest, surely there'll be no problem in our life. No more fear, no more anxiety, no more tension, no more insecurity, and we'll be peaceful. That's why Krishna says that in Bhagavad Gita. Right? But then again, is our goal of life to become peaceful? No. That is the prayojan is what? Krishna Prem. Every day when we chant the 10, when we recite the 10 offenses, at the end, what do we say? We should carefully guard against these offenses in order to quickly achieve that desired success. Krishna Prem, all of us say, right? That's the goal. So now Krishna Prem, for that we also have to understand the sweetness of Krishna's pastimes. So our reading hearing should be balanced from all this perspective. Philosophy, story. Greatness, sweetness. We should try to have balance. Krishna consciousness is all about balance, and we should apply. And knowing that Krishna is so great, knowing that Krishna is so sweet, why should we give ourselves an excuse to not prioritize Krishna in our life? We are breathing because of Krishna. Our digestion is happening because of Krishna. We are able to walk because of Krishna. How can we not prioritize relationship with Krishna in our life? We have to. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So I was told that we can have this class till 9:45, and then we can have some question answers. And I again seek blessings of all the senior Vaishnavas who are assembled here. They are like our role models. We have learned a lot from them. And I beg forgiveness in case I have said anything plus minus. And I request them to please correct and add. Right there.
Krishna Prabhuji, thank you very much. You are Vyasacharya personified. So it looks like Vyasa Dev himself is speaking. That's very nice. So
All glory to Srila Prabhupada.
two things. We know so much that we call it Damodar month. Why is it that everybody calls it Kartik month? Is something which is bewildering to me. Okay, all along, it should never be called Kartik month, because, or maybe you can give a new dimension to Kartik. Second aspect you mentioned about Bhagavatam being different for different people. A person getting married, can he see his wife as Maya? So within the ISKCON community, how do they view the women? They don't view it as Maya. Whether the husband and the wife, how they view each other. Whether man looks at her husband as a Purusha, or whether the Purusha himself thinks that he is the enjoyer. So children, their level of understanding of Bhagavatam their level of understanding is different based on that. They understand the Bhagavatam. So it was a little bewildering to me how to understand that. So these things make If you could throw some light on that.
Okay. You can probably yourself give classes to clarify these points, but I'll just try to speak from my limited understanding. So the first question which you asked, Prabhuji, that it's technically a Kartik month. We know those 12 months: Shravan, Ashwin, Bhadra, all that. The 12 months in Hindi which we say, and one of them is Kartik. So technically it's a Kartik month, but in this Kartik month, this Damodar Leela happened, and therefore we call it as Damodar month. And I think I remember when Sudama Prabhu had come here, he was telling that either he or somebody else, that we, it's not that we are against calling it as Kartik month. I mean, we say Kartik Yatra, Kartik month, but we, when we say Damodar month, it's also bringing us the memory of Lord Damodar and that Leela, so that's my understanding. Probably others can correct that. The more we can be more personal, like, we say that there are primary names of Krishna and there are secondary names of Krishna, right? When we say Nanda Nandana, Yashoda Nandana, and Damodar. So immediately some things, so Guna, Roop, Leela, Nam, Dham, so many things come in our memory. And the more we get remembrance of Krishna's Guna, Roop, Nam, Leela, Dham, it is favorable for Krishna consciousness. And the more it happens that way, like I've seen some devotees, in fact, in voice, we used to do that. One hall will be called as, Jagannath Hall, one hall will be called as Subhadra Hall, one hall will be called as Baldev Hall, so that we can remember more and more. So probably that's why devotees prefer to call it as Damodar month. Wherein they have no reservation against calling it as Kartik month, because it is a Kartik month, and in Kartik month so many pastimes have happened. But please feel free to correct. And the second question, when I said Bhagavatam is different for different people, what I really meant is that the philosophy is universal and the philosophy is same for everyone. Philosophy cannot be compromised. Philosophy cannot be dovetailed. We cannot dovetail philosophy. However, the application of philosophy has to be different. For example, because it also depends on the social and cultural context of the place. Like, for example, I know how, when Yashoda is taking a stick and running behind baby Krishna, Krishna, child Krishna, if anybody in the Western world hears that as the very first thing, without understanding the before and after, they will file a case of child, child abuse or child protection. So there is a social and cultural context. But coming back to husband and wife, as you said, Prabhuji, so my understanding is that in Grahastha Ashram, between the couple, there should be divine couple, right? The third partner, that there is this book, The Third Partner. And the husband should see wife as Krishna's property, wife should see husband as Krishna's property, and they should see that both of them have come together to serve Guru and Krishna and discharge their duties in that with that understanding. But the point which I was trying to make was that imagine if there is a dying man. To a dying man, we will not say that, oh, you should do your duties properly in Krishna. What duty is gone, done, man? You should just ask him to chant Hare Krishna, right? On the other hand, now if imagine if there is a student. If we ask a student to only chant Hare Krishna and don't do anything else, we are making him handicapped for functioning in the society. Even Krishna, when he addressed Arjuna, 2.13 and 14, Dehinosmini yatha dehe kaumaram yavanam jara tatha dehanta prapti dhiras tatra namuyati. Just before this, he's saying Matra Sparshas tu Konteya, Shitoshna Sukha Dukkada, Agama Pai no Nityas, Tam Sitikshaswa, Bharata. In this shloka, which is I think 2.12 or 13, 14, right? 13, 14. So in this Matra Sparshas tu Konteya shloka, Krishna is referring to Arjuna as Konteya and Bharata. Now, is Konteya referring to soul? No, that is his bodily lineage, son of Kunti. Bharata referring to soul? No, dynasty coming in the dynasty of King Bharat, right? Yet just in the previous shloka, 13, he had said, you are soul, you are not the body. So he has said, you are soul, you are not the body. In the next shloka, he said, you are Konteya, you are Bharata. Why? Because the first one is the constitutional identity. The fact that we are soul is our constitutional identity. Jiver Swarupa Hoy Krishna Nityadas. But the fact that we are, not we, Arjuna is Konteya or Bharata is his functional identity. So all of us have a constitutional identity and we have a functional identity. Bhagavatam teaches constitutional identity, and at times it also talks about a functional identity in various cases, like how kings are behaving, how queens are behaving and all that. But the philosophy is about constitutional identity. But can it ignore the functional identity? No, a child has to behave like a child. A female has to behave like a female. Like, for example, in American society, It may be very well respected and appreciated that a female is whole day going out and distributing books on the road. On the other hand, in Indian society, in Indian cultural context, or in some communities, it may not be that well appreciated. Okay, morning to night, a female is, distributing books on the road, mixing with all kinds, not mixing, dealing with all kinds of other kinds of people and all that. You see, now again, nothing is right or wrong. It's about seniors to understand what is applicable in what time, place, and circumstances. So the functional identity brings two things. It brings some constraints so that not everybody can do everything. It also brings some responsibility. Like the reason why Krishna is calling Arjuna as Bharata is that how can you be coward? Remember who you are. You are Kaunteya. You are Bharata. So Krishna is reminding Arjuna of his functional identity so that he can understand that responsibility on his shoulders. So functional identity is important to be able to function in the society. Number one. Number two, to set an example in the society. Imagine if there's a grahastha who is not able to take care of his family well, and if he is preaching, people will say that he could not take care of his family. How can he take care of the entire world? But again, it can go the other way around. A grahastha should not think that, oh, I will give my life to take care of my family, then he is becoming Gramedi. Right? So it's always, check and balance both ways. But anyway, functional identity, one thing is to function in the society. Second thing is to set an example. Third thing is it imposes certain constraints on you. As a child, you can't do everything you want. As a female, you can't do everything you want. As a male, you can't do everything you want. Whatever, some constraints. And fourth, some responsibility on the shoulders. Oh, I am son of so and so. I am belonging to this particular family. So there is some responsibility in upholding the pride of my family. And the best upholding the pride of the family is to become a devotee. Right? So all that thing. So from that perspective, when we acknowledge the functional identity, then the application of Bhagavatam becomes different. Like as I said, that for a dying man, we'll say chanting is the only thing for you. Forget about anything, just chant. But for a child, oh, we have to tell him about the world. We have to also tell him, I mean, Prahlad Maharaj is different. Like, and when he said that I'm not concerned about politics and economics, he said from the perspective of that he's not interested in politics and economics. That's not where his heart goes. But if today's children, when they are growing up, if we do not tell them anything about money, if in future they become brahmacharis, they'll not be able to deal with money properly in the temple. Or if we don't tell them about how the governments are or how they work, the basic knowledge, I'm not about doing PhD in everything, then they will be seen as like burden on society. Not like even Prabhupada, if we read Leelamrit, we will see how he's appreciating some professors. Sanskrit professor, if you remember first 10 chapters of Leelamrit, and Prabhupada is using that knowledge in preaching. His knowledge about some philosophers, that Beyond Illusion and Doubt book, wherein he's talking about, so that way, so child has to be given Krishna consciousness in different way. A college going boy who has to set his career has to be given Krishna consciousness, and he can join brahmachari ashram, grihastha ashram, whichever. Then somebody about to get married, he has to be given Krishna consciousness in a different way. And somebody who is married and now Vanprastha kind children have grown up, now he start wanting to do PhD. We should say that, what, yeah, now you are done. Focus more and more here. Right? So from that perspective, I don't know, Prabhuji, if I understood your question and answered your question.
You were mentioning about the sweetness of Krishna. One aspect is Bhagavatam, Varanayanti Mahatmanaha. They have come to the level of Mahatmana, they have been able to taste the sweetness. But we as individuals, practitioners, can you illustrate some examples of how you have tasted the sweetness which you can distribute to others?
The Prabhuji is wanting to bring my reality in front of everyone. So the answer is I have not tasted the sweetness, but at least for fallen condition, insignificant souls like me, sadhakas like me, I remember two things which Chetan Chandra Prabhu says, and I would just like to repeat that. Prabhuji was telling that at the level of sadhaka, we connect with Krishna using our intelligence at the level of a sadhaka. And therefore, when we read the Bhakti Shastras, when we read and hear, it is not for Gyan, like the way Gyan Yogis read scriptures. Gyan Yogis read scriptures to arrive at a conclusion. We read scriptures about the conclusion. We are not debating about the conclusion, but we are reading to enhance our understanding about conclusion more and more. So at the level of sadhaka, and therefore Prabhupada says Shravanam Kirtanam, most important, chanting, reading, hearing. Because at our sadhaka level, we can connect with Krishna by knowing, first of all, by being aware, and then by seeing some role models. Okay, they are doing like this, so we should also do like that. That's one. And second thing is that For example, somebody says, like Rupa Goswami says that shloka, right? That I desire millions of tongue and millions of ears to be able to taste the sweetness of Hare Krishna. Now, when we say once, we are also feeling it sweet. But when we have chant 16 rounds, and that too when we have woken up late and we have office, this, that, then at least for me, it's like a big burden. Big burden. So no sweetness. So then Prabhuji was telling that when you have to take medicine, you don't take medicine for taste. You take medicine to get cured. Right? So chanting Hare Krishna for us is also like a medicine. Yes, for those who are cured, it is like very sweet, like jaundice sugarcane juice, example we know. So we should not look for sweetness right now. We should know about sweetness. We should hear about sweetness so that we get inspired. But right now, if we are not getting sweetness, we should not complain. Since 1 year and 2 months, I am chanting, but I have not got the sweetness. So the Shastras are false. This exaggeration. So that we should not do. So both. Yet, should we not read about sweetness? No. We should read to know about the higher levels. We should. So I'll just end with this probably because we are running out of time. So simple formula. We should read and hear so that we can know where we have to go. North Star. Otherwise, we'll not even be able to aspire to go anywhere if we are not reading and hearing about higher standards. We should act as per our current level. Like we all have some level of Krishna consciousness. We all have some conviction. We should act honestly according to that conviction. If we have conviction that we should not eat anything not offered to Krishna, we should act as per that conviction. Then only we are being honest. Otherwise, we are cheating ourselves. And whatever conviction we don't have, what can anybody do about it? But whatever conviction we have, oh, DT is non-different from Krishna, so we should deal with DTs like that. If we have that conviction, if we don't have that conviction, then no problem. We'll wait for that conviction to come. So, number one, read and hear to understand what are higher levels. And sweetness comes under one of the higher levels. Second, act honestly as per your current level. So all of us have some level of conviction. We should follow do's and don'ts according to that level of conviction. Anytime we are entering temple hall, if we are conscious of God's presence, we will make sure we bow down, no matter how familiar we will become. Or if we are conscious of Prabhupada's presence, we'll make sure that we act accordingly. So whatever is the level of our conviction. And third, render service to go to that first one, to bridge that gap. Render service to increase our level of conviction. And that's how it will keep happening. Right? So probably I think I'll try to put that in that perspective. I don't know, Prabhuji, if we have time. I'm all, yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
And thank you, Ishwari Prabhu, for giving, yes.
Thank you so much. Wonderful churning and wonderful, beautiful insights you have given the class, Prabhuji. You started with the role of woman, and we also went to the point where we get corrected. We get corrected. Corrected. Acha, that. So when we get corrected, the ego pops up. How do we correct that, Prabhuji? So how do we deal with that? Okay. So there is something called as male ego. Right? But what I've heard is everybody has male ego. Even females have male ego. In fact, in today's world, males are becoming less males, females are becoming more males, and all these things are also happening because of the whole cultural setup. But anyway, coming back to Prabhuji's question that, if let's say, and it can be actually both ways. It's not just that when a wife says something, husband's ego gets hurt, though that may be more prominent. Like Prabhupada writes in that Sukanya and Chevan Muni pastime, right? Sukanya and Chevan Muni pastime, Prabhupada writes that Chevan Muni was very irritable. He was very advanced, but he would get angry very quickly and he was very irritable. Sukanya? No. Sukanya, right? Sukanya. So Sukanya, Prabhupada writes, she, well aware of the temperament of the husband, dealt with him accordingly. Not that, when she's saying something, husband is becoming angry, she's also becoming angry, spiral up, going down. So Prabhupada in that purport says that a female should understand the temperament of the husband, because husband tends to be more gross at times and tends to become more angry at times or whatever, or irritable at times. And then in that case, wife should, just take a back seat for the moment, and then let the things pass. Otherwise, the Grahastha ashram will not be very happy thing. But this thing can happen the other way around also. Just like today, Shudra is not a Shudra, Brahman is not a Brahman, Kshatriya is not a Kshatriya. Similarly, male is not a male, female is not a female. A lot of khichdi has happened everywhere. So therefore, we should understand the principle of relationships. right? Because the same thing can happen. Whatever husband is saying, wife may become angry or ego may get triggered like that. Or when wife is saying something, husband's ego may get triggered. And therefore, in that case, one simple formula for grahastha ashram is, there is a shloka, I think, in some Chanakya Sutras or somewhere, that the fight between husband and wife should be like fighting of two goats. Two goats, sometimes they have nothing to do, so for time pass they fight. क्या कर रहे हैं, खाली खाली बैठे बैठे बोर हो रहे हैं, क्या करने का, फाइट कर रहे हैं. So husband and wife should be like that. कुछ नहीं, बोर हो रहे, चलो आज थोड़ा लड़ देते हैं, like that they are fighting. But then there is one more characteristic. So there are two characteristics of that. The other characteristic is, as soon as somebody says hut, they go away, normal हो गया. So similarly, husband and wife should be okay, fight, no problem. There should be some tadka, lal mirch, masala, all that. But then as soon as something else, okay, kind normal, back to business, right? Not that, oh, one spoon was kept from here to there, or one bed sheet was not kept properly. It is becoming from here to here, here to here, revenge, 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 fight, fight, fight. Oh, this cat like blow up in the whole volcano and finished. House is finished, burnt. Under the lava. Where is children? Oh, a chota sa rock, you are seeing that lava burnt. Not like that. So it can happen for no reason, no problem, but it should also end for no reason. They fought 2 hours back, and children sometimes wonder, kya log hai yaar ye log? They fight like as if they are the worst enemies, and the next moment they are okay. Wonderful, this is Grahastha Ashram, no problem. My son is laughing like anything. He is also laughing. But that should happen, then wonderful, right? And then that will happen when? That will happen when fight is not the only main thing happening. Together we are serving Krishna. To the extent we are aware of the spiritual relationship, to that extent the material things will not play its role. Otherwise, material nature is what? Friction. No matter what, between two gurus only. What to speak of husband and wife? वो तो बेचारे छोटे-छोटे जीव हैं. Between two gurus, if the material side becomes front, right? So I have my material side, spiritual side. This person has material side. If material comes, what will happen? Rubbing. Spiritual comes, nice, divine. Right? So that is one. Second is, we should keep spiritual thing prominent. Morning program, chanting, reading, hearing. Some shape or form may be different. Not that everybody has to follow exactly the same thing. And third, the spirit of service. Okay, sometimes we are fighting, but there are so many. Wife should make a list of occasions when husband has served me, or occasions which I'm proud of my husband, or occasions when I have appreciated my husband, or things which I like. We do these workshops, actually, Grahastha workshops sometimes. We force the wife to write 10 things good about husband, and we force the husband think about 10 good things about the wife. So if those things are also there, then things will go on nicely. Right? So I think everything in perspective. Yes, Anjan Prabhu. Probably I don't know. The managers can tell about the last question. Okay, Prabhuji is telling last question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Very nice class. Very wonderful class. Prabhuji was telling, Vyasacharya Prabhu. Very nice class. So you mentioned earlier on that you should hate the sin, not the sinner. So we should respect sannyasis, Mayavada sannyasis. But we also hear that Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he used to slap sannyasis. So how to understand this contradiction, Prabhu?
Oh, he used to respect just like prasadam. Some prasadam is to be eaten, some prasadam is to be smelled, some prasadam is to be worn on the neck or whatever, right? So prasadam is prasadam, it's mercy coming in different forms, right? Similarly, Prabhupada said, I kicked the scientist with my boot on their face. Prabhupada said like that. Now, when some outsiders, when they read such things of Prabhupada, they become very anti-Prabhupada. They said, what kind of arrogant and that kind of person he is. But when we see Prabhupada in totality, we understand that no, how he has respect for them. Respect doesn't mean that we agree with what they are saying. Right? And it is his compassion that he is doing like that. Similarly, Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur, when we say that he is Simha Guru, right? Or he would just come and beat everybody left and right, right? That was not what his inner mood was. That is what he has come to establish, to defeat Mayavad like anything. And that is what is his personality. But we should also remember in that Brahmana Vaishnava debate, how he was conscious of first glorifying the Brahmanas. Do we remember that? That Brahmana Vaishnava debate which happened, how did he begin that debate? He glorified the Brahmanas, and he did not do it artificially. He did not do it like butter muscat. Do you think Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur kind of personality is such a hollow, weak personality that just to please somebody, he'll do some butter muscat? No, he genuinely meant that. But then he established the truth, right? So many times for some acharya, we see one aspect of that acharya, and we forget the other aspects, and therefore we have to hear from seniors who have heard from their seniors, about all other aspects, right? So I'm 100% sure that when Bhaktisiddhanta Sadhguru would have slapped somebody, right, then what is his inner mood and what is his external action, which we can't imitate. Even Prabhupada we can't imitate. Like when Prabhupada was a 70-year-old man, 20-year-old boy are sitting, even with respect to social etiquettes, he can say and do whatever, right? If we try to imitate Prabhupada, let's say so many elders are sitting, they may not know a K of Krishna consciousness. But if we can't speak like that, they will be put off and they'll go away. A preacher means not one who fans so much that the spark gets puts off. Spark of Krishna consciousness. Preacher means who fans this much and that way that the spark gets converted into fire of Krishna consciousness. Right? So a preacher should be compassionate. He should wear a cap. Every preacher should wear a cap. What cap? CAP. Compassionate, authoritative, and I forgot. Compassionate, authoritative, and I'll refer and get back. I remember this. Anyway, so preacher should be compassionate, he should be authoritative, and he should be pleasing. I thought. I don't know. I did not speculate, but I had heard something like this. I can get back later. So preacher should be always conscious of whatever I'm speaking. Is it doing operation successful? Patient died. Or is some transformation is happening, because that's the purpose. Otherwise it's like ego. I am wanting to defeat everybody. And defeated means done. No. Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he defeated Keshav Kashmiri, right? He never disrespected Keshav Kashmiri. Do we see that? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In fact, when others started laughing, oh, he said, you should not feel bad. He said like that. Right? So we should learn like this from all the acharyas. And for sure, Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, his action may have been whatever, but his mood is of compassion, and that hate the sinner, sin and not the sinner still holds true. Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I seek prayers and blessings of all the Vaishnavas that may I have the right understanding of these truths and may I practice whatever I have spoken. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. A wonderful class and definitely a lot of churnings and lot of insights. So let us all thank Prabhuji from the bottom of the heart and express our deep gratitude by loudly chanting once Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So today, Prashadam sponsor is by His Grace Palhari Govind Prabhu and Aradhita Madhavi Mataji. They have sponsored on the occasion of their son Anirudh's Upanayanam, and they are all seeking blessings all the years from this August assembly. And in the form, let us all chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra for the spiritual benefit of Aniruddha. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Gaurchanda Gopinath Prabhu, we all know how much he is addicted, and he's also infectious about distributing books. This is Aniruddha, who had just opened in a. Thank you. So, Gaurchanda Gopinath Prabhu has distributed in the recent past Bhagavad Gita 700 numbers and Krishna book 200 numbers. And let us all also chant once Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Wonderful devotee. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. We all know we have Gita Amritam classes that is ongoing every Sunday evening. So there is a request for all those who are aware of this Gita Amrita classes, which is in the evening at 5:30 p.m., requesting devotees to invite or request their near and dear ones and their friends to attend this Gita Amrita. Many of them who have attended have wonderfully benefited from these classes. And a reminder, tomorrow's Ekadashi. There are two special announcements now, and this is for the upcoming Panihati festival, which is on June 11th. So I would request Ashoka Prabhu also to come over. Now, Panihati festival, this time there is a little change, and I would request the devotees to be attentive. There will be details shared in the WhatsApp groups, but please be attentive of this announcements. Panihati festival this time, the venue is same, that is Dot Gosai Ghat. So Panihati, we will have Kannada translation also. Panihati will be held on June 11th.
ಹರೇ ಕೃಷ್ಣ. ಸೊ ಪಾನಿಹಟ್ಟಿ ಫೆಸ್ಟಿವಲ್ 11th ಜೂನ್ಗೆ ನಾವು ಆಚರಿಸ್ತೀವಿ.
And the venue is Dot Gosai Ghat.
ದೊಡ್ಡ ಗೋಸಾಯಿ ಘಾಟ್.
Sunday. It's on Sunday.
ಭಾನುವಾರ
June 11th
ದಿವಸ.
is Sunday. Now, buses. So there are two ways we can reach Dot Gosai Ghat. That is either by the buses, which temple will be providing, or by your own vehicle.
ಸೊ ಎರಡು ಪ್ರಕಾರ ನಾವು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ರೀಚ್ ಆಗ್ಬಹುದು. ಒಂದು ಬಸ್ ಮೂಲಕ, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ನಮ್ಮ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಬರ್ಬೋದು.
And now, for the buses to be arranged, we need to have a count, which means this time, all of you, those who want to attend Panihati festival, you have to register in the website. You have to register in the website. Links will be shared in the WhatsApp group.
ಸೊ ನಾವು ಬಸ್ ಅರೇಂಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಕೌಂಟ್ ಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ನೀವೆಲ್ಲ ಟೆಂಪಲ್ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ಲಿಂಕ್ ಕಳಿಸ್ತೀವಿ, ಆ ವೆಬ್ಸೈಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟ್ರೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು.
The last date for registration is 30th.
30ನೇ ಜೂನ್, ಮೇ ಕೊನೆ ದಿವಸ ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಮಾಡೋಕೆ.
The other change that will happen is, now we all know there is an expressway that has been built. So this time, as always, we used to have breakfast at Ramnagara. This time, breakfast will be at Dot Gosai Ghat.
ಸೊ ಈ ಸರ್ತಿ ನಾವು ಬ್ರೇಕ್ಫಾಸ್ಟ್ ನೇರವಾಗಿ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಗೋಸಾಯಿ ಘಾಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ.
A team, as usual, we also have an advance party which goes ahead, and just to check the arrangements, a team has already gone ahead and they observed that it takes 1.5 hours to reach Dot Gosai Ghat from here.
ಸೊ ಎಲ್ರೂ ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ನೀವು ನಿಮ್ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದ್ರು ನೀವು ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಬಸ್ ಅರೇಂಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನದಿಂದ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟ್ರೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು.
So
ಇನ್ಕ್ಲೂಡಿಂಗ್ ಚಿಲ್ಡ್ರನ್.
So when the buses are leaving, the timing, please note, the timing is at 6 a.m. And also from a location perspective, as of now, we have BTM layout and the temple. There could be other locations, but as of now, it is BTM layout and the temple. And based on it, we will add more locations.
ಸೊ ಬೆಳಿಗ್ಗೆ 6 ಗಂಟೆಗೆ ಬಸ್ಸಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಹೊರಡುತ್ತೆ. BTM ಲೇಔಟ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನದಲ್ಲಿ 2 ಪಿಕಪ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ. ಇದಲ್ದೇನೆ ಇನ್ನು ಬೇರೆ ಪಿಕಪ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್ ನೀಡ್ ಬೇಸಿಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಮತ್ತೆ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ.
Very important, please register yourself once you get the link. Otherwise, it is very difficult to manage. So please register. Apart from that, there are many wonderful services that can be done, which is pre and during also. Some of the services are,
ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಸೇವೆಗಳಿದೆ. ಸೊ ನೀವೆಲ್ಲ ಇದರಲ್ಲೂ ಭಾಗವಹಿಸಬಹುದು.
bus coordinators.
ಬಸ್ ಕೋಆರ್ಡಿನೇಷನ್ ಗೆ,
and that will be depending on the areas. So bus coordinators.
ಬಸ್ ಕೋಆರ್ಡಿನೇಟರ್ಸ್.
Second, advance party going to Dot Gosai Ghat.
ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಪಾರ್ಟಿ ಒಂದ್ ದಿವಸ ಮುಂಚೆನೆ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಗೋಸಾಯಿ ಘಾಟ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗಕ್ಕೆ
And that
ಡಿವೋಟೀಸ್
is
ಬೇಕು.
to assist in the preparation of so many, prasadam or many other things will be there.
ಎಲ್ಲ ಅರೇಂಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್, ಪ್ರಸಾದಂ ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಪಾರ್ಟಿ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು.
Third is assisting in the kitchen on June 11th.
ಸೊ ಜೂನ್ 11th ಗೆ ಕಿಚನ್ ಅಲ್ಲೂ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಡಿವೋಟೀಸ್ ಬೇಕು.
Fourth is breakfast or lunch prasadam distribution seva.
ಸೊ ಬ್ರೇಕ್ಫಾಸ್ಟ್ ಪ್ರಸಾದಂ ಸರ್ವ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಡಿವೋಟೀಸ್. ಲಂಚ್ ಪ್ರಸಾದಂಗೂ ಡಿವೋಟೀಸ್
Then
ಬೇಕು.
packing dinner prasadam. Before leaving, devotees have to collect the dinner prasadam.
ಸೊ ಡಿನ್ನರ್ ಪ್ರಸಾದಂ ಪ್ಯಾಕಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ಟೀಮ್ ಬೇಕು.
And these dinner prasadam packets will be handed over to the bus coordinators.
ಸೊ ಈ ಡಿನ್ನರ್ ಪ್ರಸಾದಂ ಪ್ಯಾಕೆಟ್ಸ್ ಬಸ್ ಕೋಆರ್ಡಿನೇಟರ್ಸ್ ಗೆ ನಾವು ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ.
Those who are coming by their own cars, they also can collect it from the kitchen department.
ಕಿಚನ್ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಂದ ಯಾರು ನಿಮ್ ಕಾರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ತೀರಾ ನೀವು ಪ್ರಸಾದಂ ಪ್ಯಾಕೆಟ್ಸ್ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು.
I'll tell you. So those who are interested in any of these services, please reach out to either His Grace Swayam Prakash Prabhu or Rukmini Rangakrishna Prabhu. So please reach out to them right away. If you need, we can post this also in the groups.
ಸೊ ನೀವು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹೆಸರುಗಳನ್ನ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸ್ವಯಂ ಪ್ರಕಾಶ್ ಪ್ರಭು ಇಲ್ಲ ರುಕ್ಮಿಣಿ ರಂಗಕೃಷ್ಣ ಪ್ರಭು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಕೊಡಬಹುದು.
There'll be a WhatsApp message which will be like a poll. You know, have you seen the polling in the WhatsApp message? Just need to click. So ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಇವಾಗ, we are going to put the list of all services and we'll send you a WhatsApp message. Just click on them. We'll get all the details who has selected for what services. Okay? So ನೀವು WhatsApp ಅಲ್ಲೇ ನೀವು click ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. In case ಇಲ್ಲ ನೀವು personal ಆಗಿ ಬಂದು ಕೊಡಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ, you can meet Swayam Prakash Prabhu or Rukmini Krishna Prabhu and then speak out or your register for your respective services. Okay? Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Swayam Prakash Prabhu wanted to do a special announcement.
Hare Krishna. From today onwards, we are trying to make some changes in the serving of the prasadam. So this is to facilitate all the devotees so that they can peacefully and very freely take prasadam. So for Mataji's, prasadam will be served in the courtyard, and for the Prabhujis, it will be served in the first floor. And for the Varishta Vaishnavas, it will be served in front of the Krishna's basket. So please note, Mataji's will be in the courtyard, and for Prabhujis in the first floor. And the Prabhujis can go from the staircase outside in the courtyard and take prasadam, and inside only the hand wash is there. You can wash your hands there and keep the plates there only. And Mataji's, as usual, they'll take prasadam and wash the plates there and keep it back. And after around 35-40 minutes, once the majority of the Matajis have taken, the down counter will be closed. However, the first floor counter will be open. If any Matajis, because of service or any other thing, becomes late, can go to the first floor and take prasadam in the first floor. Hare Krishna. ಇವತ್ತಿಂದ ಪ್ರಸಾದಂ ಸರ್ವಿಂಗ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಚೇಂಜಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಮಾತಾಜಿಸ್ಗೆಲ್ಲ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ ಯಾರ್ಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸರ್ವ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಅವರು ರೆಗ್ಯುಲರ್ ಆಗಿ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಪ್ರಸಾದ ತಗೊಂಡು ಕೈ ತೊಳ್ಕೊತಾರೆ. ವರಿಷ್ಠ ವೈಷ್ಣವಸ್ಗೆಲ್ಲ ಕೃಷ್ಣಾಸ್ ಬ್ಯಾಸ್ಕೆಟ್ ಎದುರುಗಡೆ ಸರ್ವ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಪ್ರಭುಜೀಸ್ಗೆಲ್ಲ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಫ್ಲೋರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸರ್ವ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಪ್ರಭುಜೀಸ್ ಈ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಸ್ಟೇರ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಇಂದ ಮೇಲ್ ಹೋಗಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಸಾದ ತಗೊಂಡು ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಕೈ ತೊಳೆದು ಆ ಹೊಸ ಕೈ ತೊಳೆಯೋ ಪ್ಲೇಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಪ್ಲೇಟ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಇಡ್ಬೋದು. ದಿಸ್ ಎ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಪ್ರಸಾದಂ ಸರ್ವಿಂಗ್. ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ನೋಟ್. ಹರೇ ಕೃಷ್ಣ.
We will have Jagannath Ashtakam. Dameshwari, you can.
Hare Krishna.